the husband, welcoming him. My husband does that to me. I mean, I don't even do that to him. He walks me right outside and he makes sure that the car moves before, before he goes back inside. And knowing that that's what I enjoy being that traditional wife, that traditional woman. I like to serve him. And I think that there's nobody you do that to that would not like it. I mean, I for the sisters coming on board, you should respect. If you're going to have anybody that knows me knows that that's what I always say. If there's a marriage that is not working out, people need advice, I'll say, now. I'm that kind of person. Before I now start to become very realistic, I would always tell you, okay, let's do this. Okay, let's try this. Yes. So respect for me it's almost at the top as well. I respect my husband. You put his food on the table. He's done eating. You pack up the plates. Now he comes from work. I take the bag.
I love
that. Good girl.
I love that. I love that because okay. So what are some of the? I love that because we grew up with that. But I think sometimes I don't know whether it's reading too many books or watching too many films. We lose that. But I don't think there's any. Personally, my husband doesn't like it. If my husband doesn't like it. But what are some of those other things that you do that somebody else going into marriage will do that you think will really make their husband feel loved and respected?
Cleanliness is tops for me, No,
I know.
Yes, every man likes to walk into a very clean environment. When I was raising, I'm still there, we're still there. My kids are so little, but raising them when they were even in diaper, because at the time they were all in diaper at the same time, because it was hard for me to do the potty training. It will weigh me down. So I just put all of them in diaper and allow them to grow out of it. My house was never like looking rough. My husband knows, before he gets back, I call him, where are you? Okay, and then we just put up incense in the house. I tell, okay, let's clean, set up the throw pillows, put everything. So I think this is tops one. And then good food on the table. You have to dress nice, take a shower, look good. If he left the house in the morning, seeing you, oh, you haven't had a shower, by the time he's coming back in the evening, you should have, gone in, gone out, change your look. He should see something different. For me, that's some of the tips I use for my own marriage, though. And I think it works. It would work for new marriages as well.
Thank you.
Everybody's blushing.
I love that.
Everybody's blushing.
Zahra, do you have some tips that you've also used that has helped you to continue to make your husband feel very respected and honored and valued?
Tell him. Tell him that you respect him. Tell him that you appreciate him. Acknowledge the hard work he's doing. Say it. I think that is very, very, very important. Thank him for looking after you and the family and for providing, particularly when he's looking particularly stressed and all of that. I think just appreciate, those words of affirmation are very important. For your spouse. Very important. Very important.
I write him text too.
Yeah, try not to okay, you're talking about respect now, so let me think. Respect. Oh my kidding me. I'm joking. So, I think that for me, it was important to marry someone that was older than me. My husband just made the cutoff mark. For me, minimum, yes, pray for him. I love that, Sister Khadija. For me, I wanted someone minimum 5 years older than me. Because I have such a strong personality. I don't know. I just didn't feel like having somebody that was a small boy. Sorry, guys, would work. So my also from what Sister Rukky had said, her husband is, we said 13 years or 11. How many years?
11. I think she said
11.
Oh, 11. Sorry.
Yes, my parents have a 10-year age gap between my mom and my dad. So I think that age first of all just helps to just put a certain level of respect. But I must be honest. I need to continually remind myself to be more respectful. Yeah, not that I never disrespect my husband, but not disrespecting and respecting is also, there's the place in between, you know, where you can, as I said, no market kind of thing. So you have to just find that balance and just make sure that, you know, you're just conscious of it. I think that it's quite important.
Thank you so much, both of you. Can I just add one thing to the age thing? So to the sister here, pre-marriage, I was one of those people, because I have a very strong personality as well. I said to myself, I can't marry somebody that is not 5 years older than me. That was like one of my top things. However, 9 years into marriage, I have a completely different view. And so I'm sharing this because of the person out there that might be thinking like Lola was thinking in those days, that age. So my sister and I got married in the same year. Toyi is married when Toyi met her husband, their age mate, they're born in the same year, but he's just a few months older. And so I said to her, and they were both serving then, I said, how on earth can you marry someone that is your age? I did not understand it. I could not understand it. But subhanAllah, they're 10 years married. I have never seen a marriage as beautiful as their marriage. Not in the movies, not in the books. I study marriages. I'm a geek when it comes to relationship. I'm the kind of person I'll see a couple on the train and I'll walk up to them and say, how long have you been married? I'm that kind of person. Yeah, I geek about marriage. And wallahi, I've not seen a marriage as beautiful as my sister's marriage with her husband. And I pray that Allah continue to bless their marriage. And the reason I've shared that is so that if you were like me 10 years ago that thought that you have to marry somebody older, it's not always the case. Sometimes you can marry somebody even younger or someone that is your age mate, and for whatever reason, they just turn out to be that missing puzzle in your life. So thank you so much, Zahra and Rukky. I've loved this conversation, and I'm just going to open it because we have to finish by Maghrib, inshallah. If you have any questions, leave it in the chat box, and if not, I still have 2 questions for Zahra and Rukky. Sultan, do we have any? Actually, before we go to the questions, sorry, special announcement. I sent an email out and I said you should guess what is happening after the single series, and I received so many beautiful emails. I love receiving your emails, so please, anytime I send an email and you respond, it just brings a lot of, I'm so happy to receive it. So what is happening is this: the single series, today is the last episode, we all know, alhamdulillah, but I've realized that in the last 1 month I've just opened a can of worms. It's like we can't stop this conversation now. The kind of DMs I've been getting, the kind of emails, the kind of response, like we have over almost I checked today, about 1,000 people registered. 1,000. It was supposed to be just something for 100. I kept increasing the Zoom just to accommodate more people. So I'm so grateful, but it tells me that this is a conversation we need to continue to have in our community. So right now, I'm thinking of the best way to carry on the conversation, whether it will be a podcast, whether it's going to be another series, whether it's going to be a course, I'm not sure yet, but inshallah, we will, inshallah, definitely be doing something. So the announcement is this: but I need ambassadors. So I'm asking for your help. If you would like us to consider and continue this, I just need 50 people. Come to my DM and just say, I'm interested. Just come into my DM so that when I decide what we're going to do, I know I have 50 people that at least will tell a friend. That is all I'm asking. So if that's not too much to ask, please just, I don't use any other social media platform. I'm only using Instagram. I don't think I know how to use Facebook anymore. So if you want to reach out and if you want to help, just come into my DM and say, yes, I'm interested. That is all I need. And then at the time when we do what we launch whatever we do, you will be the first to hear about it, and we'll be able to work together to create and decide what it is that can be most helpful for us. Thank you so much. So that's the announcement. Sultan, do we have any questions?
Yes, sure. We do have a number of questions, and I'm really going to start off this one because I think it's quite intriguing. This is from a brother. The brother is saying he needs advice. I'm in my early 20s, but I think I love older females. So what advice would you give to that brother?
Zahra, you're the scholar, so please answer that.
I'm not the scholar, but I would definitely say that for me, I would say that that's not a problem at all. If you're serious, then go for it. But you have to be serious. That's just it. You have to be serious. You know, for a lot of us, the reason why we just put that age barrier there is like just to cut off on seriousness, really and truly. But if you're young and you're serious, go for it.
Yeah, and of course, we all know the story of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his first marriage. So actually, what you're doing is sunnah. So please go for it. That's exactly my view as well.
Yeah. Next question.
Next question, please.
Okay, this is particularly for Zahra. This person is saying you talked about the husband being the sole breadwinner and the wife being the support. For a busy wife, how do one discuss the home responsibility apart from finance?
Yeah.
Let me get a question.
So honestly, this question is a 2-hour discussion.
Oh, wow.
But it is because this is the reality of the intricacies of the dynamics of balancing the home when you have this ambitious wife. And we really didn't get a chance to really address it. Yeah. When you have a woman who is ambitious, who is hardworking, who is doing stuff, who is how do you balance the home? And then on top of that, when you then have a husband who is ambitious, who is hardworking, who is the breadwinner, who does not need the wife to contribute, it creates the situation that I am in, whereby the justification sometimes for the woman to go and be working and blah, 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 is often a financial one. So, but for me, it is a choice. And because it's a choice, it causes a rift when I choose my work over my home. And this was the cause of a lot of tension for me at the middle of the year, around Ramadan. If anybody here follows Fariha, you know that we had a huge Ramadan campaign. And that took everything from me, everything. On top of that, we had COVID. And so we were homeschooling. And it was so difficult because homeschool what? I'm working till 4 a.m. I'm asleep. Homeschool, they want you to log into Zoom at 8 o'clock. I'm sleeping. I am sleeping. I'm like, no, I can't come and die. Usually you'll be in school. So I can use that time to, and it was just so hard. And so it was my husband that had to pick up the slack. He was the one that he was also going through his own difficulties because he's on calls, he's working. He now has to monitor Zoom for my daughter. And at that point, she's 6. My son is 2. Their school was also saying that they want to do Zoom class as well. So there was one day that he tried to do both of them. He nearly fell sick. He now said, oh yeah, madam, let's have a conversation. This work that you are doing, let us have a conversation. I can't do it. I feel scattered. My whole morning is upside down. I had calls, I had meetings. I'm doing Farhana, I'm doing Yasser. It's not working. And so the dynamics, we had to say, okay, Yasser, no homeschool for you. Farhana, I'm like, okay, after you do Zoom, I'm not a morning person anyway. You do the Zoom in the morning. I will do the Google assignments and homework in the afternoon, once I've woken up, and I'll try and find some time. But it caused a lot of tension because I was seeing it as, and this is why it's very important to communicate. And it took us maybe about 6 to 8 weeks afterwards of just having a lot of tension before we really had a conversation. We had a conversation, but the conversation did not enter. Like we were not getting each other. And we had to have the conversation about a month later to really understand. And that conversation, I'm not gonna lie, I took notes. I'm not even playing. As we were having the conversation, I was writing down what we were saying because it was that deep. Because for me, I wrote here that I feel like I'm walking on eggshells when it comes to my work. It's like I have to be working apologetically. Like I'm always like, I'm so sorry, I'm working, I'm sorry. And I felt afterwards I started rebelling like, kilo day, why must I be sorry? Like I'm working, I'm pursuing my passion, I'm da. But that was the vibes I was getting. And for him, you know, he was saying that I was seeing it as, you know, do you have a problem with my work? And he's like, he doesn't have a problem with my work, but the balance was off. I was coming at it that, but I work now. I guess I've had a period where I slowed down a bit after I had my second child and blah blah blah. So I was like, I worked. You know, I was in the UK. We were even living apart for 2 years of our marriage. I was in the UK. He was in Nigeria. So I'm like, so I was confused because I was like, you have been with me when I'm a hardworking person. I'm not a lazy person. Does that make sense? So, you know, we really had to really go back and forth, trying to figure out what was off for him, what was off for me, and how to balance the two. So, sister, that question is very, very deep.
Yeah,
and it's going to take a lot of cooperation between the two of you. It's going to take a lot of understanding. But one thing I would definitely say is don't assume, because when you start to put assumptions in, it causes problems. And so I started assuming you had a problem with my work. And so I was now rebelling that I'm feeling like, but I don't have a problem with your work, but that wasn't his issue. His issue was just the balance and the dynamics is off. And he's needing to do a lot more that he doesn't understand why he doesn't understand why he needs to do it, but he feels like he's doing he feels like he is upholding his end of the bargain. But he's not having to carry my own slack as well. And he's like, why am I doing all of this and also carrying your own slack?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why should I been carrying the slack? So let me give you some of the slack now. You know, so you know, it's about that balance. So I wrote here dynamics, the trade-offs, and the opportunity cost. And you really need to really make sure you're in sync. And whenever you're feeling out of sync, have that honest conversation and try to understand where both parties are coming from.
Zahra, I love what you just said, and I have to ask you this question, which is I think you already mentioned that when you both have that role that I'm the provider, I'm the homemaker. I think what you've just described is a situation where he was doing his own being being the provider of the family, you being homemaker, and then you're tilting the scale, you're like making him take more. And so I get where he's coming from, that I'm doing what I should do. You are the one that so I love that analysis, and I think it's something that continuously you need to have a conversation. The question I want to ask you, which I need to ask you, is as a change maker, I see a lot of myself in you. And, you know, we have all this, I want to make a difference in the world. I mean, we saw this Wakanda guy today. And for me, I was just like, man, this guy spent just 43 years. What he has achieved, some people will spend 200 years, they will not achieve it. I'm like, sometimes when I feel you've done all the things you could possibly do and you die, you're like, no, I don't think anybody will look at that guy and say he hasn't done what he should do. And so people like you and I were like, there's a purpose. We want to maximize our potential. But when we now get married to somebody that they just want to be a provider, Allah says, be a provider, be a good husband, be a good Muslim. And for them, that is fine. They're not trying to change Africa and all those things. How do you make them, number one, as your spouse, do they need to buy into your dream? And that's the question. Do they need to buy into your dream? If they need to, in order for you to sort of thrive, how do you make them buy into that dream? What are some of the practical tactics you can do without feeling apologetic? Because I always feel apologetic. I'm downstairs and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm coming upstairs, and I'm like, I don't want to be doing that. I'm working, get used to it. So tell me how you balance that.
Sister, this is, when I say that this is one of my biggest tension points and areas that I'm just alone kind of thing. Like, I'm just begging Allah to take control, in the sense that, you know, for, you know, people who are ambitious, who do things in the public eye and whatnot, people will sometimes say to me that, but sis, you know, you're always, what, I don't know, I'm trying to see how to word it. Like, for me, people telling me, oh, you're so successful, this thing's amazing, And I'll use my Ramadan project as an example. So much fantastic reviews. This, was so impactful. But because of the sacrifice I needed to make, it then affected my home. And so I didn't now count that as a success. Because Kila Boro saying successful later when inside is not okay. What's the point? And so for me, it's about really, really trying to make sure that, yes, you have a dream, but make sure your home is on point and okay. Yeah. Because any dream you go and achieve outside and your home is not okay, you will not feel the fulfillment of that dream. So make sure your home is on point. And I think that was why everything, I was apologetic, I was, feeling guilty, because I was seeing that the impact of me giving my all out was taken away from in. Yeah. So I wanted to make that point very clear. And it's something that women who are highly passionate and driven have to contend with. And why a lot of the time they feel as though they're not fulfilling their own dream and their potential because of the one, they end up resenting the home. So you have to find that place where you're not resenting your home because you feel like your home is holding you back, and you're also not doing outside and your home is suffering. It's very tricky, and it takes a lot of guidance. It takes you being very intentional, knowing why you're doing it, being honest, being sincere, being genuine. It takes you working on yourself seriously, knowing what you value, really understanding what's important and what is not important, and why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to really question your why. Because if you don't, trust me, everything will just feel useless at the end of the day. Everything will feel useless at the end of the day. And in terms of your point of them buying into your dream and whatnot, alhamdulillah. Remember what I said at the beginning of this conversation, that my husband said that, his reason for changing his mind about me going to the UK for my program was, I said that it was my dream. So he is in full support of me pursuing my dreams. He's in full support of me pursuing my dreams. And that was what I needed to realize in this conversation. He was trying to tell me that I don't have a problem with you working. I don't have a problem with you pursuing your dreams. But we need to make sure that even as you're pursuing your dream, and I'm supporting you to do that, the dynamics that we have set up in this home are not affected. And if there's something that is coming that is going to affect that dynamics, let me be on board. Don't allow you to just come and hit me down. And so he said here that, and I remember, and I wrote it down. I was like, so do you need me to ask you permission before I take on a project? Like, I was really serious. So I was like, okay, you need to understand. I was like, so what? Should I come and be asking permission? It's just like, it's not really about asking permission, but it's about preparing him.
And informing him.
Not even informing, preparing. Babes, the next 3 months are going to be crazy, oh.
Yeah.
Because, in the sense of, for instance, now, when I went to the UK for 2 years, he was prepared. He knew what that meant. I'm physically not there, if that makes sense. Yeah. He knew what that meant. So it's about preparing him and making him understand that this is, and having, and taking that decision together.
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to be, even though I was physically present, I was not mentally present. Me present too.
Yeah.
I was not present. Yeah. I might as well have been in a different country. Yeah. That's how unpresent I was. And so imagine that you are going away for 3 months. Yeah. Wouldn't you have to have that conversation? So if you're going to take on the type of work that means that you're not going to be present, certain duties that you usually make, you cannot make them. It needs to be a joint agreement. It needs to be a joint agreement. And then the other thing for multifaceted women, there's something I wrote here that he said to me, which you do you want me to get? And when he said that, I said, more, because sometimes like you're living with somebody that has say bipolar need or kidney, because one day you are like this, one day you are like that, one day. And so I also had to come down and really understand that, okay, when you are like this, he adjusts and supports me. But then sometimes I'm like this, so he has to, and it's exhausting.
It is. It is.
It's exhausting being a husband to a woman that is just full of so much energy, and you don't know what you're getting on what given day. And so you ask that question, which you do you want me to get? And I was just like, try, hey, see my life, but just that realization and that acceptance that we need to cut our husband's slack. Yeah? We need to cut our husband's slack, because even in their support of us, it takes a lot from them as well.
Yeah.
And I want to also make this point here for the brothers in the room. My husband, I remember him saying that when he was thinking about getting married and starting and thought about marriage, he asked the question, what kind of marriage do I want to have? Do I want to have the kind of marriage that our father's generations have? Or do I want to really make a go at this marriage? And he said that because even in this conversation, he was saying that so many men, once school, you are provide. He feels like he's done his bit.
Yeah.
He's done his bit. So all this one that you are now talking, emotional something. Let's convince. You're not giving me this emotional
love language.
It's like, yeah, what do you want from me? I've done everything. What do you want from me? Kind of thing. Men can get to that point. And it's one of those ones where, he had to realize that he can't, because for him, it's like, this is a very honest conversation we were having. He found it difficult that I wanted more. I wanted more from him, not in terms of money, but in terms of being present, being active, being, doing more, providing more, supporting me emotionally is not easy, because my emotions can be all over the place. It's like, I can't do all this and not be your business advisor. You come home, and I have to really watch myself with, just verbal diarrhea. At the end of the day, I'm having this issue and just offloading onto him, because it affects him emotionally. When I offload my own emotions, I feel better, but he feels weighed down. So I have to also adjust that as well. I can't just be, this thing happened at work and I have this problem, because he has his own problems. So even balancing that as well is very important. So you have to ask that question. And that comes to where you were saying about having a transactional marriage. It's not about, I'm providing this, you provide that, and that's the end. And he had to realize as well that it's not enough. It's never enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. So bad like my 1 million naira every single month. That's not enough. You need to invest in your marriage emotionally. You need to invest in your marriage spiritually. You need to be physically there. There's so much more beyond finances, beyond being a breadwinner, that makes your marriage successful. And so even that was a huge realization for him as well, because at that point he was like, why is he doing more? Why does he have to do the homework? Why does he have to do the kinikon? He's paying the school fee now. You gotta do the homework. So all of that, guys, seriously, this conversation, I was saying that it's so much more than this 2 hours that we have. And I really applaud you, Lola, for creating this space. It's so important. It's so important, because so many people, both people who are married and those who are coming in, we are so unequipped. We are so unequipped. SubhanAllah. We're so unequipped, but I'm really hopeful. I'm really hopeful, especially for the brothers in the room that are coming out here and they're willing to learn. They're willing to say, I'm not just going to I'm the man. I do this, and then everybody serve me. No, really realizing that for you to have a successful home, you need to build that home with your spouse. Yeah. It's not enough to put money on the table. It is not enough. It is not, and I'll say that again, brothers. So if it's about money that it is not enough to put money on the table. You then say, but she's not putting any money on the table. She's putting so much else on the table as well. It may not be finance, depending on how you want to set your marriage up. It may not be finance, but trust me, if you had to do her job for 1 week, you will say, please, I will do the money part. You continue doing the part that you are doing, because it's not easy. But both sides are not easy. Because if I also had to go and do what my husband is doing, and I had to think about, and I think about this now with my business, if I had to think, in this business that I'm doing, I'm taking it for granted. If I had to, my rent, my school fee, my housekeeping, by the time I remove all of that, what is left for you? They're like, do you understand? So we have to try and walk in our spouse's shoes. And then I think that we will be a lot more compassionate and understanding towards one another.
Zahra, there is like, Zakariya, that was just beautiful. There's nothing to add. The only thing I know I'm taking away is you've just opened something that we have to talk about. And I love how you've been addressing the brothers. So brothers, you know, I don't want to rehearse what Zahra said, but you know, being a provider, honestly, right now, I take that for granted. Like, that's the least you can do. Like Zahra was saying, when you marry a woman, someone like me, someone like Zahra, that we have this, I've been in therapy for 2 years. I have a therapist. Like every time I speak to her, it costs me 35 pounds an hour. But I got to a point where I just, you know, when you said your husband asked you, which part of you do you want? It got to a point where I'm like, even me, myself, I don't know which part of me will show up today. Is it the part of me that is thinking about how to make people have meaningful careers, how to do this, how to do that? I realized that I kept uploading to my husband, and he just wasn't equipped. Not that because he doesn't want to, he didn't have the resources to support me. He wasn't equipped to support me. And at the time when I was just almost literally going mental, I reached out to him. I said, I need a psychotherapist. I need somebody that I can offload, because I journal a lot. I'm constantly journaling, but sometimes you just need an outlet. Alhamdulillah, having the support of my wonderful therapist for the last 2 years. So my husband knows that when those moods come and I'm like in that space, they know they don't want to deal with me. Sometimes I literally say to him, can you take the kids out? I need to be alone. I will turn off my phone and I'll just be journaling. Even if they don't have anywhere to go, they will be roaming around the park for 2 hours because they know mommy needs to be alone. So brothers, is for you to go into marriage. What kind of marriage? Our parents in those days, it was enough if they do all the financial things and they do those things. The women of today, you need more. We need more. So I pray that Allah makes it easy for all of us. Marriage can be very beautiful, but we need to be equipped. Sultan, can you please mute Rashida Adisa? So the final question. Rukkaya, the question that we've been hearing that pops up everywhere, whether you're Oyibo or you're Nigerian, is, can women have it? Is it a myth? Is it a reality? Can we actually have it all?
No.
No.
You just have to strike your balance. Yes. You can't have it 100%. Yes.
And Zahra, I'll still ask you the same question. The last question for you, Rukkaya, in one word, what does marriage mean to you?
Commitment, sincerity, in so many words.
Commitment. I love that. Commitment.
Yes.
Zahra, I'll go to you now. In reality, can we have it all?
No. I think that, you know, again, I guess people would say, you know, you can have it all, but not at the same time. And so for me, it's that realization that, you know, everything comes in seasons. And at different points in time, there'll be different things that you are valuing the most and that's most important. And it's about doing that constant trade-off throughout. And one thing I would just say to my sisters out there is that, you know, especially if you start early enough, may Allah grant us all long life with good health. There's time. As the kids are older, you can, you know, never feel as though if you choose to, you know, not necessarily pursue your career at the start, that's fine. When your kids are 10, you can start up again. So just always remember that there's time. That's one thing I would just say. There is time. Whatever you choose, there's time. Don't feel like you need to try and do everything at the same time.
Yeah.
So what you'll say is we can probably have it all, but not at the same time. Not at the same time. And that's my point as well. I think over the course of our lifetime, inshallah, eventually we can have it all, but not at the same time. Trying to have everything at the same time, I think we're just setting ourselves up for disaster. If you've read Michelle Obama's book, if you follow her journey, you'll see now she's coming. I see her as somebody reinventing herself. But if you read her story, because I studied her book, and she talked about the years when she had to accept, it was very difficult for her. She had to accept that career, she wanted to be a partner in a law firm. She had to slow down and accept that now my job is to support my husband. My job is to be a homemaker. And now look at it. Her husband has achieved something that nobody else in the world has achieved. And you can tell now all the fame is on her. So I think we can have it all, but it's about we can't have it all at the same time, and acknowledging and accepting and being grateful that I can't have it all at the same time. I will continue to pursue the things that I want.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
then
right?
also do your best in the moment. What is the thing that
Exactly.
is the most important to me in this moment, and do your best in that thing. I think that that's another additional thing just to add.
I completely agree with you. In one word, what does marriage mean to you?
I know alone.
I love that.
I know alone. Wallahi. Marriage is rahma. Rahma.
Rahma. I love that.
It's just Allah's rahma and mercy. That's it.
I love that.
Rahma.
I love that. Sultan, do we have any more questions before we have about 7 minutes more?
Okay, if we have about 7 minutes more, then I would like us to take this question, because for me, I think I hear situations like this a lot. A case where the wife earns more than the husband, and so in one way or the other sort of becomes the breadwinner of the family. How do you approach that kind of marriage? I mean, the dynamics are different now. How do you approach that kind of marriage and have a successful and lasting marriage regardless?
Rukky, I would want you to take that. If a wife earns more, that's the question. How do you approach that dynamic of marriage?
In that situation, the first thing you know about men is that their ego remains there no matter what the situation they find themselves. So as a woman, you earn more than him, you still have to come down. You have to come down to that level and meet him down there. You still have to show him respect. I still go down to respect. You still have to show him, okay, not to give him your money, your finances. He doesn't really have to know how much you earn. But if you're even going to make things happen, you still have to make him understand that his situation as the head, the breadwinner, still stays there. You don't have to show even the kids. There are certain things you do. You don't have to show the kids that, oh, I bought you this. Oh, look what daddy got you. Go say thank you. You still have to give him that chance. And for that kind of man, he also needs to understand she's the one working. She's the one putting it on the table. He has to support her. It's not for her coming back at 7, maybe traffic, and then he still expects her to go into the kitchen, get food ready or something like that. He has to understand the situation.
I love that. And I'm just going to add to that, because I'm very close to a situation like that, where the wife they've been married 9 years, and the last 8 years of the marriage, she has earned more than her husband. And this is what she does. She says, this is the spreadsheet. This is what is going out every month. I know you're not earning. I earn more. I'll take on all this. So apart from just to make him, as a man, if you're not paying rent, I think he's a way to lose your confidence. So what she does is, you take rent and I'll take everything else. Now, what I'll add to that is, while that woman is being kind and doing that, as Muslims, it's not a situation where any man should then sit comfortable. You shouldn't be in a situation where you've been married for that long and you're just comfortable because you have a wife that is so understanding and that is so helpful. It's a situation where, number one, you should acknowledge the help that woman is doing. She's doing your responsibility. Acknowledge it, be grateful for it, but be determined to make sure that dynamic changes. Because what happens, the danger with that is, if the man then gets comfortable, one day that wife will wake up and she will not respect you anymore. One day that woman will, no matter how kind and humble she is, let her do that same thing for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. One day she will wake up and she will lose respect for you. And I don't think you can love a man you don't respect. I don't think so. I think respect and love are exclusive. You can love someone. I don't think you can love someone you don't respect. So to the brother there, that's all I have to say. Somebody asked a question that I want to answer, that in one word, what does marriage mean to me? I'll use 2 words, if that's okay. And to me, it means emotional connection. Emotional connection. We finished 4 minutes to Margaret. I have loved single series. Zahra, I love storytelling, particularly personal stories. Jazakallah Karen for sharing all those personal stories. Even going into your journal and reading out of that. Jazakallah Karen. Rukky, I love how, I always tell you that you remind me of my mom. You are like a mom. Those of us that are close to you, wallahi Rukky, you're like a mother to so many of us.
Thank you.
When I was coming to Nigeria, you told me, Lola, Momaron driver, that was what you kept telling me. I came to your house, you and your husband, you treated me like a child, like I can't thank you enough. I love how you remind us to honor our husband. The way our moms did, there is no man that does not like that. So thank you so much for sharing, for being so authentic, and Jazakallah Karen to your husband as well. Sultan, thank you, the moderator.
Thank you so much.
We have 111 people live, and thank you so much, everyone. We're definitely going to continue this, inshallah. Follow Zahra at the Faria Network. Modest Muslima. Oh my God, we have an announcement for Modest Muslima. She's giving out, what are you giving out, Rukky? Please tell our audience. A special treat.
Special treat for a single lady worth 30,000 naira. So please, I don't know how they're going to win this, Lola.
I'll share it on Instagram. It's not for everybody that has joined live. It's for the community will build. So Rukky, thank you so much. I'll share everything on Instagram. And so that is amazing. 30K. If you've been to Modest Muslima Lodge, you're just going to love it. You don't want to leave. Sultan, thank you so much for Jazakallah Karen to everyone. We will be ending now. Please go and check on Instagram. I'll share the update of how to win, the recording, and everything. Thank you so much, and I will share the information again on how we continue this conversation. Please remember to come into my DM if you'd like to be an ambassador for the next program we'll be launching. Jazakallah Karen.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Bye-bye. Hello.